think you're playing football? Do you think you're playing football? Do you think you're playing football? You are showing me nothing.
Fires, Mike Sims, Walker, knocked down.
Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
In trouble, he's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again.
Jackson takes it himself. Look at him dart back and forth. Oh! He broke his ankles.
I have never seen this before in my life.
Still looking, firing, near corner. It's caught.
Denver, unbelievable.
And welcome to the fourth down fiasco.
Hello and welcome to the Fourth Down Fiasco. I am your host, Tanner Vinsky, and with me today is the illustrious Danny Weber. We are going over all things NFL draft today, starting with the top QBs in the draft, trades that happened on day one, some of the worst/questionable decisions from draft day. We don't want to call it the worst yet because, then we're setting ourselves up to be wrong, but to our eyes, a little questionable. And then we're going to wrap it up with our teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Sorry for the other 30 teams, but, we just don't care as much, to be quite frank. So make sure to check out today the sponsors of today's episode, BetStamp, for all of your betting needs. Join today on BetStamp and make a bet through all of your favorite sports bookies. They got Bet360, Caesars, DraftKings, Underdog, you name it. I mispronounced Underdog, but you got what I meant. So make sure to use the link, signupexpert.com/fiasco and leave a $5 bet to show us some love. And, make sure to support your favorite football podcast because we know we are your guys' favorite. And let's get into it. So where we're going to start with, what everybody cares about, the QBs. So what do you think about Cam Ward going number one overall, Daniel?
It was the right pick. And unless the Titans traded back and wanted just to rebuild again with Mr. Will Levis. But no, I like Cam Ward. He was arguably the number one quarterback in this draft by quite a wide margin. So we'll see if they can keep him upright.
I think with Cam Ward, he was really the only franchise quarterback in the draft. Now, whether or not he's going to live up to that potential is to be seen. But I think when you look at all the QBs that were in this draft, the only one who has a realistic chance and has the best tools available to be a franchise guy is Cam Ward. And that's the reason why he went pick number one, and then the next QB didn't go all the way until the end of the first round. Yeah. Because nobody else really could see any of these guys lining up to be a franchise guy. But, Cam Ward's got the body size. He's got the arm. He's got the processing. And Tennessee desperately needs a franchise QB. Their last franchise guy was Steve McNair? It had to be Steve McNair at this point, right?
Yeah. Would you classify Tannehill? He was there for a handful of years, but
not really. They got the 1 seed 1 year, but how much was that was really Tannehill and not, Derrick Henry in their defense, right?
True. But yeah, they haven't really had stability at their quarterback position for a while. So hopefully it works out. Who knows? This is a very weird quarterback class.
Well, it's just a bad quarterback class. That's really what the issue is. We've
gotten really spoiled over the last X amount of years with good quarterback classes.
Well, it's similar to the Kenny Pickett draft class, right? There's going to be draft classes where you're just not going to have elite quarterbacks coming out. Cam Ward was really the only one. But if you think about it, think of the QBs that went last year. Cam Ward's probably not one of the first three guys to go last year,
No.
He
had six in the top 12 last year.
Yeah, and if you look at those six guys that went, I don't think you take him over Jaden McDaniels. You don't take him over Caleb Williams. You don't take him over. Maybe you take him over JJ McCarthy. We haven't really seen anything from JJ McCarthy. Maybe you take him over Drake May. We've seen only a little bit. Penix.
The Broncos wouldn't have taken him over Bo Nix because
probably not. So, he's definitely not a top three guy to go in that draft class, but just with how weak this one is, he's really the only guy who could have the same trajectory as, the top 3 to 4 guys from last year's draft. So, it makes sense for Tennessee. I know people are saying, well, there was other teams that were looking to trade up, and maybe you could get a haul and go back. But when you're so desperate at QB, I mean, what's the point of trading back and punting another year to Will Levis?
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantee you're going to get the number 1 overall pick again next year. And yeah, that's a better QB draft, but who's to say Will Levis doesn't win you like 5 or 6 games if you take, like an Abdul Carter at number 1, right? If you take the best pass rusher. So,
and it's not like they could have listened to Cleveland's trade offers at number 2 because Cleveland needed a quarterback in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, they could have, I guess, because what people were saying is, well, they could have traded with Cleveland, gone down 1, and then they could have traded with Jacksonville, so Jacksonville could have gotten Travis Hunter. But how would you, 1, know that was going to happen? And 2, I mean, is it really worth it to let Cleveland get Cam Ward and then you don't get him? And then next year, let's say like Cleveland is super incompetent and they don't like Cam Ward at all. I mean, Cleveland's the type of franchise that will just draft a QB first overall 2 years in a row, You can't doubt them or you can't pretend they'll do better than that,
That is true. Cleveland will Cleveland.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Giants trading up back into the first round to take Jackson Dart. What did they give up for that?
So let me pull it up for you. So they
gave up.
Go for it.
The pick 34, a third round pick number 99, and then a 2026 third round pick. So they didn't even give up. I didn't realize they didn't give up a first round pick,
which is good. I mean, at the end of the first round, you really should not be giving up any future first to move up spots. If you are, you're making a massive mistake.
Yeah.
It is kind of a big haul, though, to move up
9 spots.
To move up 9 spots, yeah. Like, getting rid of... I mean, because then they didn't pick again until... I don't know if they had a second, third round pick in this year's draft. But, I mean, they were going a while between their next pick with giving up their second and their third, and then next year third as well.
But once again, I think they were scared of Cleveland because Cleveland had the 33rd pick.
Yeah, and... it makes sense for them to do that. And I mean, they could have given up a lot more. So it's good that they got it for this price.
And I will be curious to see how Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver Texas took, and Charles Grant, the tackle they took, pan out. Because maybe they did get really lucky. Maybe those 2 picks didn't work out for New York.
Yeah.
For the Texans.
And it's one of those things for the Giants. I mean, they're starting Russell Wilson this year. You got to think, who can we have developed, right? And if you're going to have Russell Wilson start the whole year, it might be a good opportunity for Jackson Dart to sit behind him and, learn from Russell Wilson. Because, I mean, even though Russell Wilson isn't a good starting QB anymore, I mean, he was an elite QB at one point in his life. So he can...
probably a great coach.
Exactly. He'd probably be a great mentor to Jackson Dart. And from what a lot of people were saying pre-draft, Jackson Dart was one of those people you wanted to sit. Like, you did not want Jackson Dart starting right away.
He runs like Josh Allen, but he's not Josh Allen's size.
Yep.
Like, he just takes hit after hit after hit after hit. Like, he does not slide or get out of bounds or get down. He will just absorb the hit. And in the NFL,
the guys are much bigger. They are much bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, from there, I mean, we didn't have another QB go after Jackson Dart until we had Tyler Show, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. I'm not really sure. It's a weird one. But he went in the second round to the Saints. And
that was weird.
It was, I mean, you've seen, I'm sure anybody who's watching has seen plenty of clips of just people screaming at their TVs for Tyler Show. And it's a weird, I mean, he's 25. He's going to be 26 by the time the season starts. It's almost like the Browns drafted Brandon Weeden. Like, it's similar. I mean, to be fair, Brandon Weeden was 28, which is absurd to draft the QB at that age. But drafting a QB that's 26 years old, I mean, he's not much younger than you and I. Like, and I
graduated him in the draft. I get the.
We graduated college 5 years ago at this time. Like, it's been a minute since we've been in college, and that guy was still in college. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and that was the same pick that Shedeur got prank called.
Which is crazy. Yeah,
that is hysterical.
Yeah, that sucks.
No, well, it happened to 2 quarterbacks this draft, and it happened to Cooper DeJean last year, but no one said anything about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's gotta suck. You're like, oh, sick, I'm getting drafted. This is awesome. And then you like see the pick go, and you're like, wait, I wasn't talking to this man's GM.
Yeah. But so, yeah, it was quarterback from Louisville. Then I really like the Jalen Milroe to the Seattle pick.
I do too.
I feel like that's a really good fit for him to sit behind Darnold for a year or two to develop. Because I don't think Milroe, I don't know, there's a lot for him to learn, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, Milroe is one of those guys that I liked a little bit more than some of the guys that are being drafted above him. Like, I definitely liked him. I definitely like him more than Tyler Show. Arguably, I don't really think Milroe's that much of a downgrade from Jackson Dart. I mean, I feel like they're pretty similar players, so I think the Seahawks getting him where he is a huge steal for him. I mean, people were talking he could be a potential first-round pick, so.
Yeah. And, hey, the last quarterback that the Seahawks took in the 3rd round turned out pretty well.
Pretty good, yeah. So maybe it'll happen again.
Who knows? And then the Browns decided to go back-to-back quarterbacks in the 3rd and 5th round with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders.
Which I don't get at all, like, to be completely honest. I don't think Dylan Gabriel has much upside to begin with. Like, he's just kind of, if you're going to take a QB, why take him? Like, why take him, then take Shedeur? Like, it feels like they're almost trying to send a message to Shedeur, like, oh, you're not the guy here. We took another guy in front of you, so you really got to earn your starting spot. But, like, do you really need to waste a draft pick to do that? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And Dylan Gabriel just simply, like, if you look at his film and you look at how long he's been in college and all this stuff, why would you want him over Shedeur, right? Like, there's nothing he does better than Shedeur Sanders does. And the thing is like, Shedeur went in the 5th round for a reason. It's because he is not a starting. He is not on the trajectory to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He doesn't have the size for it. He doesn't have the decision making for it. He doesn't really have the arm talent for it. So it makes sense that he goes later, but he still has better accuracy than someone like Dylan Gabriel, and he's still a better athlete than Dylan Gabriel. So why even waste a pick on it?
How old is Gabriel? Because he's been in NCAA for a long time.
I mean, I think he might be 24, 25.
He's 24, born in 2000.
December 28th. So, yeah, I mean, halfway through the season, he'll be 25. So, yeah, I don't get that either. Like, Shedeur's younger. He has more time to develop. It's just, I don't get it. Like, I don't think anybody really thought Dylan Gabriel was going to go in the 3rd round.
No.
Like, that was kind of a reach for him in the 3rd.
I expected Howard and Ewers to go before Gabriel.
Yeah, easily.
But, hey, at least we're not like Mel Kiper and throwing a hissy fit on live TV about Shedeur.
Yeah, I've learned that the best way to consume the draft is you just have the draft tracker up, and then you find somebody on YouTube who's like streaming their draft tracker, and they're talking about it, because it is unwatchable.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched it in actually multiple years at this point, so I only saw that people were saying Mel Kiper was having a meltdown, like, on Twitter and stuff. But
he was ripping on every team, saying that they're going to regret this for generations, and that no team has ever known how to draft a quarterback or anything like this, and that he is definitely the number 1 quarterback, and it's dumb that other people wouldn't take him, and blah, 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 blah.
Well, he was the guy. Who was the guy that he said was going to be like a surefire thing? That was it Brady Quinn that he was super high on?
Brandon Weeden.
No, I don't think it was Brandon Weeden. I'm just gonna look up Mel Kiper bad takes. I'll find it in a second.
Yeah. And then I will say we'll skip Kyle McCord. I mean, Philadelphia just needed a backup quarterback. McCord's not going to play unless something happens to Hurts. But one dude I really like in the 6th round with the Steelers, Will Howard. He played well last year, had a poor combine, but he's in a position to compete right away because you guys just have Mason Rudolph on your roster, right?
Mm-hmm. It's just Mason.
So
we might have Kyle Allen still backup. I don't know if we cut him or not.
But unless you guys sign Rodgers, Howard is going to compete for the starting job day one. And I could see him beating out Rudolph.
This is what here's what I think about with Will Howard. Will Howard should not have gone that late. I think he has much bigger upside than someone like Dylan Gabriel, right? Honestly, I like Will Howard as like the 3rd QB in this draft, which is kind of crazy to say. I almost like Will Howard more than I like Shedeur. Actually, I think I do like him more than Shedeur.
As an NFL quarterback, yes.
I think the only QB I would maybe like more would be, obviously Cam Ward. And then I would say like Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart would be like the only 2 I would argue above him.
4, you could kind of, depending on the system, interchange.
Yeah. But the thing is like Will Howard is an exciting QB prospect because he really is just like a great value version of Josh Allen. Like he has the exact same build as him. He's 6'4", like 230. He has the dual threat ability. He just doesn't have the arm that he does, and he doesn't have the top end speed that he does.
He's kind of like a Big Ben. He doesn't really run. Like he will, but it's kind of like a heavy run.
Yeah, absolutely. But he does have the dual threat potential, which is huge because that's what you need in the modern.
But he's not going to be breaking off 50-yard runs or running people over.
No, I like Will Howard a lot. Where I see Will Howard is I see his absolute peak being Ryan Fitzpatrick. And that sounds like a big knock on him. But for a 6th-round QB, if your peak is Ryan Fitzpatrick, that is phenomenal.
Especially in Pittsburgh with your defense.
And that's kind of the point I was going to get into is, I mean, we just, and this isn't like Jalen Hurts slander, right? Because like a lot of people, the reason I shit on Jalen Hurts so much is a lot of people put Jalen Hurts as like a top 5 QB in the NFL, and he's just not. What Jalen Hurts is, though, is he's an effective game manager. He's a smart quarterback, and he has athletic upside to win the game with his legs. Yep. And having those 3 things, when you have a roster as deep as Philadelphia, we just saw that wins you the Super Bowl. Like when Jalen Hurts played in the Super Bowl, he just played smart. He didn't have any like jaw-dropping throws. He didn't have anything crazy, but he just found his open guys. He didn't turn the ball over, and he was able to, bring some rushing upside alongside with that. And that was enough to go on a deep playoff run. And if you can do that with Will Howard, and I think Will Howard is kind of similar, where I think Will Howard's rushing upside compared to Jalen Hurts is a lot lower, but I think his passing upside is higher than Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts has a relatively weak arm. Jalen Hurts is a massive guy, but he can't really throw the ball downfield super well. And Will Howard is the same way. Will Howard's this big dude, super athletic, can do all these things, but he doesn't have a top-end NFL arm. And I just don't think he ever will. But what he does have is he has really good velocity on his short and intermediate routes. Yeah. So if he can be smart, and he has shown he can process the game well, I mean, he just won a national title with Ohio State, and Ohio State plays tough competition, like they play the best of the best. And he would usually have really well games. Like he would make his reads. So as long as he can work on his accuracy a little bit, and as long as he can work on his deep ball, I mean, you have an effective game manager in the NFL, and the Steelers, that's really all they need, because for the last, since Big Ben's injury, they have not even had that. They have not had close to that, and they've had to win solely on their defense. So if you can just have a game like a Ryan Fitzpatrick level quarterback, you're going to win games. So Will Howard, I think his floor is like a Josh McCown. I think he has a high floor, and I think his ceiling is like a Ryan Fitzpatrick. So there's not like a massive ceiling, and there's not like a massive floor. So what that means is you're just probably getting a relatively consistent guy. And with how inconsistent the Steelers locker room has been at quarterback, I mean, he's probably going to, and as stubborn as the Steelers franchise is, I mean, Will Howard might be your quarterback for the next 6 years,
Yeah.
Like, we might just say, all right, we can't get another guy. Will Howard wins this game, so we're going to keep Will Howard in. And honestly, that's what the Steelers need most at this time. And they just need somebody who can stick there because Big Ben's injury. I mean, we started Duck Hodges, Mason Rudolph, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Mitch Trubisky. Like, we've had 5 different QBs in the last 5 years. And the worst part about it is Mason Rudolph's been the best one. That's why he's starting next year. That's the thing is you look at those 5 years, we could have just gotten rid of all those other guys and we could have just only started Mason Rudolph. And arguably, we probably would have been in a better spot because we at least would have had the same guy developing the whole time instead of going back and forth between Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky and all that stuff. That was just terrible.
After Will Howard, though, there weren't really many except for the last quarterback drafted, Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers in Miami is a perfect fit.
I think so, too.
Because Tua, who knows what's going on with him. He takes a hit, he might be done. So Quinn Ewers going to be the backup to Tua is perfect, especially with how they run their offense and their run game.
Oh, absolutely. No, I completely agree. They've just needed a competent backup in Miami since Tua's gotten there. Because Skylar Thompson is not it. And we've seen that multiple times that he's not it. So, I guess she's not tired out enough, huh? Or you not? So, what's it called? They just need a competent backup, and Quinn Ewers is going to be a competent backup, and he's going to be able to spot start, and he could probably win you some games. So the fact that they got him all the way in the 7th, I mean, that's a huge steal for Miami.
And not just the 7th, the middle of the 7th.
Yeah, it wasn't an early 7th pick,
But that's all the quarterbacks, at least the main ones. Did anyone get not drafted? No. Brady Cook.
Nothing of importance. So we can move on to some of the draft trades from day one. We talked already about the New York Giants, Houston Texans one. So let's go to the big one, obviously.
The biggest one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest, besides the Shador story being way overblown and being this massive story that it really shouldn't have been. The real biggest move was actually the Jaguars and Browns trade. Because, the Jags gave up a haul to move up to get Travis Hunter.
Yeah. So Jacksonville gave up their 2025 5th-round pick, their 2025 2nd-round pick, their 2025 4th-round pick, and their 2026 1st-round pick. And the 3 picks from this year turned into Mason Graham, Quinshon Judkins, and Dylan Sampson, 2 running backs and a DT. But in return, they got the 2nd overall pick, a 4th-round pick, and a 6th-round pick.
So what is kind of fascinating about this trade is they're really only losing out on one player because they're only losing that 2026 first. And now this is really where it's going to depend on Jacksonville. If Jacksonville is an 8 to 10 win season or a 10 win team next season, this is a phenomenal trade for them. Mm-hmm. Because essentially what they gave up to the Browns is they gave up pick number 22 to get Travis Hunter, right? What is going to really bite them is if Jacksonville is a 4-win team next season. If Jacksonville goes out there and wins 4 to 5 games and they're picking in the top 10, this is going to be a really bad decision. So this trade is entirely up to just how next season goes, to be honest. If Travis Hunter is all that he's hyped up to be, and he's this dominant wide receiver for Jacksonville, which they kind of need. They have BTJ, who's great, but having a really dominant wide receiver alongside him, as well as somebody who can play cornerback snaps, that could be massive for them. And if that works out, and like I said, they somehow get a playoff berth, which is going to be really hard in the AFC, But let's say they do it and they get a playoff berth. Who cares if that's the result and you gave up, your 22nd overall pick?
I heard somewhere
that win 2 games. Oof.
Yeah, if they win, yeah. But I heard somewhere that he's going to play like 15 snaps or have like 15 routes a game on offense.
I thought they said they were going to have him primarily be a wide receiver and then or was it the opposite? I
think it was the opposite. That's what they said during the draft, is that they were hoping for like 15 routes a game. But you could also that pick number 36. That's an early second round pick, and there were a couple of good DTs still on the board at that point that they could have taken. But I'll be curious to see how Quinshon Judkins works in Cleveland. He should be pretty good with their O-line.
What I really don't understand from the Browns' perspective here is I get why they would do it, because you're getting a second round pick, you're getting a first round pick. Those are both going to be good building blocks for you. But they draft DT anyways, and Abdul Carter, the gap between Abdul Carter and Mason Graham is titanic. It is a massive gap. So I mean, hopefully Mason Graham is good for the Browns, because then it won't matter. But if Mason Graham's not that good and Abdul Carter is what people are hyping up to be the next Micah Parsons, they are not going to like that they made this trade, because they could have just had him at pick number 2.
Yeah. But I think pairing him with Myles Garrett is going to help. If they didn't have a Myles Garrett on their team, he was their sole provider, that'd be a big oof.
But imagine having Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett, right?
That would be terrifying.
That's why it's so bizarre to me that they would move down. And I found the Schefter tweet. So Jaguars are expected to play their first round draft pick, Travis Hunter, on offense and defense. They will onboard him by giving him a heavy dose of the wide receiver position while still playing him at his more natural position on defense.
All right. Well, whoever the analyst is for ESPN is wrong.
Yeah, so it seems like the Jaguars are planning to have him mostly at wide receiver, playing a little bit of cornerback here on certain packages, and then maybe they'll pick one of the two, or they'll do gadget plays or something. I'm not sure how they're going to handle it.
No, yeah.
I'm excited to see it, though. I'm interested to see how it goes, because it could be a train wreck, which is always fun to watch. But if it works, like a Julius Peppers. Yep.
But talking about Cleveland's draft real quick, they confuse me. They have 7 picks. They spent 4 of them with 2 running backs and 2 quarterbacks.
Yep.
Why? Why take 2 running backs and 2 quarterbacks? And technically they wasted another trade on a 3rd quarterback with trading for Kenny Pickett. It's who?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how they traded. They got that massive haul, but just based on the decisions they've made prior, they only picked 7 times.
Yeah, they had 7 picks.
It's yes, they had 2 seconds, 2 thirds, so, and then no 6 and 7. So that's kind of nice. You get an extra second, extra third, but it's the same amount of picks as if they didn't do anything. And they only addressed 4 positions in their 7 picks, because they drafted 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs. And their last pick of the draft was Shadur. I don't get it at all. And this team, this is a Browns team that is not well constructed by any means. This is a team that needs a lot of help.
But their offense is nowhere.
Their defense is there, but it still needs depth. It's still it's a relatively top-handy defense. Imagine the Browns' defense if Myles Garrett goes out, right? And that's why, it's so important that they got Mason Graham. But or imagine if Denzel Ward goes out. Who are their corners outside of Denzel Ward?
If they stay healthy, they're great. If they get hurt, they're screwed.
So the fact that they only used their first 2 draft picks on defense when they have a relatively shallow depth is just irresponsible, because they could have just taken Dylan Gabriel and Quinshon, they would have the running back that they're going to play. They're going to have their quarterback that they're going to play. And then, the Bowling Green pick is whatever, right? The tight end. And then you just build out more depth in other positions. But why are you going for another running back and another QB? Because now you have to cut a QB on your roster. You're not going into they could. If they really wanted to, they could go into the year with 4 QBs. But they're not going to do that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And also, their running back depth isn't that terrible. Like, I know Chubb just left.
They're not Jerome Ford. Nick Chubb is still a free agent.
Yeah, so even though Chubb left, they still have Jerome Ford. So you could still have had a split backfield between Quinshawn and Jerome Ford.
That'd be great.
And I'm sure they would. I'm sure they have another. I'd have to look at the roster, but there's no way that they didn't have another running back on the roster. So drafting another one, I just really don't get it. Like, and that's what this is the main team I look at, and I'm just like, I don't understand what we're doing.
The Browns draft is always confusing, and this one is up there.
They also had Pierre Strong Jr. was their other running back. So they're up to 4 quarterbacks and up to 4 running backs.
Doesn't make sense.
And it's just like, what do we do?
No, back to the Seahawks real quick. You remember what the Seahawks traded or what the Seahawks got for Geno Smith?
They got did they get a second or a third? I think they got a third from the Raiders, right?
A single third-round pick. Mm-hmm. Who'd they take in the third round?
Oh.
Jalen Milroe. So the Seahawks traded their starting quarterback that they were going to have to pay a bunch of money for what they hope is their future quarterback.
Smart.
Yeah.
The Seahawks are well run. Like, people don't give the Seahawks enough credit. Like,
Dan Schneider or whoever their GM is very, very good.
Yeah, the Seahawks have been relevant and not really been a bottom feeder team since the Legion of Boom for a reason. And really through the whole 2000s, they've never really been too incompetent. Because, you had the Sean Alexander years, Matt Hasselbeck years. Like, they've really been like a competent organization for the last 20, 25 years. So there's not any reason to think that Seattle's not going to make the moves to keep pulling themselves out,
Yeah.
There is one more draft trade in the first round that I want to go over. And this one is one that I honestly kind of hate. It was the Falcons moving up with the Rams. So the Falcons moved up to get to pick number 26 and then a third round pick that they ended up trading later. And what the Rams got in return is they got a second round pick, a 7th round pick, and a future first round pick. I just don't like the optics of not sticking at your second round pick to get rid of your pick next year. And I know that they need a defensive player, and I know that they're desperate for that, but I just don't, especially going all the way up to 26. I feel like they could have done something where they could have moved up to the top of the second round and kept their first round pick next year. Mm-hmm. It's just, I just don't like throwing away the future assets for that player, especially when there was still a good amount of DT depth. And it's like, maybe James Pierce is the guy you really want, and I can understand that perspective.
James Pierce was not supposed to fall to 26.
Yeah, I get that, but I just don't like giving up the future capital.
No, you just said it before with the Giants of not giving up a first round pick for trading up into the late first round.
Yeah, and this is also, the Giants were able to trade up to 25 and not give up a first round pick. So it sucks that the Falcons have to give up a first round pick to go up to 26, Yeah. And I feel like there's a way they could have done this to get up to 26 without giving up their first rounder next year, because they're going to run into the same issue next year.
Did the Falcons have a third? Why not give up, or a fourth even?
It just feels like a high, and I get, you want to get James Pierce, you need defensive help desperately in Atlanta. But there just had to be a way for them
to not
give up their first next year. And what it ended up resulting in, especially they already took an edge rusher at 15 this draft, They They already took Jalen Walker.
He's classified as a linebacker. Walker is.
But you've already addressed some defensive issues, right? Mm-hmm. Why trade away future draft capital to address it even further when you could use next year and use that pick to, you could use that pick to, if you really need like a top end D line, and let's say you're thinking pick in 26 next year because then use capital to trade up in the first round, but it resulted in them only having 5 picks this year, and one of them was a 7th. So they just lost a lot of their depth that they could have used in the draft. And then now they're not going to have a first round pick going into next year,
Yeah. It'll be interesting. They shored up what really cost them last year besides their quarterback play of their defense lacking. They didn't really have a good pass rush last year. So bring in 2 rookies. And we saw what the Rams did last year with 2 rookies with linebacker coverage. It worked.
That's true.
And I was just reading, James Pierce was projected to go 15 to the Falcons, and they decided to go Walker over Pierce.
So they just got the 2 guys they wanted anyways. And
they said, screw it. If we're going to take a first on either of them, might as well do it. Like, give up a first for 2 first-round picks. Like, why wait a year? Maybe
I get it.
Process? Because I don't know how many years they have left on their contracts with their offensive players. Like, maybe it is kind of like we need to show that we can win now to kind of retain our guys.
Where I struggle with that is they got Michael Penix on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
And when you got your quarterback on a rookie deal, especially when it's going to be really his first true season of starting, I don't like giving up capital now. Yeah. Because you want to see what you got in Michael Penix. If Michael Penix is it, then when he's on his 3rd and 4th year of his rookie contract, that's when you sell the farm. That's when you say, all right, we got him for cheap. He can do this. We can win with him. Now we're giving up everything. Now we're just going to make these massive moves. But when he's going into really his first actual season, he's going to be in year 2 of his contract, but they're definitely going to take his 5th year option if he's good. So having that in year 2, it's difficult because it's like, okay, what if Michael Penix sucks next year? What if he's terrible? Now you're giving up future assets that you need to use to rebuild. So you're just jumping the gun a little bit too early, I think, with Atlanta. It's just like you need to make sure you have the capital to build around your franchise QB if you think he's a franchise QB. And then once he really shows you that he is the guy and he's the franchise, then get rid of everything. Then it's like, screw our first round picks, screw this. We need to go trade for veterans that are going to come in and help us win,
Maybe he'll surprise us and look like Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix next year. Who knows?
Oh, absolutely. Again, like I said, I don't like the optics of it, but at the end of the day, I'm not a scout. So James Pierce could just go out there and be the best. He could be better than Abdul Carter, and he could just be the best defensive player in the whole draft.
I wanted Cincinnati to take James Pierce.
I also wanted Cincinnati to take James Pierce or Mike Green, and then they chose to not do that. So I guess
pass on Mike Green and James Pierce, and then we decided to take Stewart, who has in his career as many tackles for losses and sacks that Pierce and Green had all of last year.
So this is what I really don't like about Cincinnati's draft, or what I really don't like about the Shamar Stewart pick.
Yeah, let's talk about Cincinnati while we're here. It's just
we've already gone over our draft trades anyways. So what I don't like about Shamar Stewart is the Cincinnati defense is so bad that you need high floor players. That's what you need more than anything. You need the safe picks because you just need your defense to be competent. It's not even you need an elite defense. Because if you need an elite defense, then you're like, all right, our defense is looking pretty good. We need to hit on a few more pieces. Let's take the risky pick like Shamar Stewart, right? Because Shamar Stewart doesn't have a lot that he's shown so far, So it's saying, okay, but his upside is massive. Let's go for the upside, right? In Cincinnati, you're not looking for upside right now. You're looking for a defense that isn't going to be horrible. And the thing is Shamar Stewart's high ceiling, low floor. So if he hits that low floor, and you used a first-round pick on a low-floor player, you're screwed. Your defense is just as bad as it was last year.
Yep.
So take the guys that have a high floor and maybe a lower ceiling, because then okay, you're coming in and you're contributing right away, and our defense won't be laughable, right? Like, that's what you need. And then when your defense starts getting a little bit better, then you say, all right, now we're going to start taking players like Shamar Stewart,
No, yeah. And I saw someone there trying to justify it, and maybe it will come to fruition. It's the NFL draft. Who knows what will happen? Cam Ward could be a bust. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
exactly.
they compared Stewart to Daniel Hunter.
Yeah.
Because Hunter did not do well in college. His stats were not one of the best. He did not get a lot of sacks. But now look at him. He's a beast.
Yep.
So maybe they're like, Stewart is quick, long, lengthy, and he's a good run stopper. He gets off the ball quick, and he could be there, but it's a risky pick at 17 that could have been avoided with the James Pierce pick.
Yep.
But hey, we're not scouts. Maybe Stewart is going to be better than Pierce. Who knows? My hope is that he is.
Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, he's on your team now, so.
Yeah. But then we did the exact same thing in the second round with Demetrius Knight. Hope and a wish linebacker of might work out, might not. Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah, again, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, they're taking the guys with a lot of upside, and if it works, awesome, right? It's going to be phenomenal.
Amazing if they turn out to be great.
But it's unnecessary risk that you're taking as a franchise, taking both of those guys as your defensive pieces,
Yeah, and it looks like what we're doing is trying to stop the run, because Stewart stops the run. McKnight stops the run. So if we have not McKnight, sorry, Knight Jr. stops the run. So if we have Knight and Logan Wilson back healthy, stopping the run with who's our nose tackle? BJ Hill, Logan Wilson, and Knight stopping the run, that's crazy. Like, I'll take that all day.
And you needed to stop the run last year. You could not stop the run to save your life.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm fine taking run stoppers, but who knows? But I really do like the Dylan Fairchild in the third, because I think he will start over Cordell Volson right away.
No, Dylan Fairchild is actually somebody I wanted the Steelers to take just for extra guard depth.
And then, I mean, 4th, 5th, 6th round, you're just kind of hoping. You're just taking people that you're not really like Barrett Carter. We could use linebacker depth.
Mm-hmm. I do like Taj Brooks. He's a small guy, so you always got to have that risk, going into the NFL.
Yeah.
Because I think he's only like 5'9".
Yeah, he's 5'9", but he's 214, so he's not like a short and skinny guy.
Yeah. So
I like him as well. I mean, Texas Tech's all-time leading rusher.
Yep.
That means anything.
Yeah, and I don't know how much I don't know how much depth you really need at running back right now.
No, but I mean, if you can compete for RB2, go for it. Like, I doubt Zach. Like, our RB2s right now is Zach Moss or Samaje Perine.
Yep.
So, if Taj Brooks, I doubt Zach Moss is going to really come back because he broke his neck last year.
Yep.
So, we'll see.
Yeah, brutal injury.
But, yeah, Cincinnati, very high upside, but also a very low downside.
And to transition that into the Steelers, I mean, the Steelers did kind of the exact opposite.
They went, we're going to go right down the line, not straight.
Yeah, I mean, Derek Harmon, I love the Derek Harmon pick. Mm-hmm. Just a massive body. Just
big dude.
Very, very high floor player. I mean, he's going to come in, he's going to have an impact. And hopefully he's going to learn a lot behind Cam Hayward, because, I mean, he really is the Cam Hayward, replacement. He's the guy we're training to go into that role. I mean, yeah, he had an illustrious college career. Like he should be really good in the NFL. It sucks that I don't know if you heard, but the day after he got drafted, his mother died. So just super sad story.
She was in hospice basically. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise.
Like a surprise.
Yeah, it wasn't like a shock, like out of nowhere death, but it's still really tough. You know, go from the best day of your life to probably the worst day of your life, like back to back. Like it's got to do a lot on just your emotional state. But absolutely rooting for him. I mean, Pittsburgh's gonna be rooting for him. Derek Carman's just like the type of guy you see drafted by the Steelers, and you're like, yep, that's a Pittsburgh player. Like he just looks the mold. I love Caleb Johnson out of Iowa as well. One of the running backs I was higher on in this draft, so I'm really glad that we got him. And we need the running back depth right now. So
yeah, you do, especially losing Harris.
Yeah. So hopefully he can split reps with Warren, like Harris and Warren were doing last year. So
I really like Jack Sawyer. I wanted Cincinnati to take Jack Sawyer, so I'm very.
I like Jack Sawyer a lot too. No, I was kind of shocked that he got all the way to the fourth round. To be honest, I thought he was going to be a third round guy. So the fact that we got him, I was very excited about. So
yeah.
No, yeah, I'm happy about him. And then, I mean, we just had a lot of picks this year too, which helped. You know, we were picking quite a bit, especially in the later rounds. And our later round picks, I really like. I mean, I don't really know much yet about Yaya Black or Carson Bruner. But I mean, just extra depth at D-line and linebacker is what we need right now. And then we've talked about the Will Howard pick. We both are big fans of it. And I like Dante Kent out of Central Michigan. I always just like seeing, you know, it's a MAC player coming to Pittsburgh, so I'm always going to root for it. But no, it was. I would say it was a good draft. It wasn't a flashy draft, so I know a lot of people were saying it wasn't like as good as the Steelers could have done. I mean, Mel Kiper threw a hissy fit because we didn't draft Shadur. He talked about how we're going to regret it and all that stuff, and it's it's whatever. So people, I saw a lot of analysts not really like our draft, but I think it's just because it's not flashy. It was just a very safe draft, and these are the type of drafts that you need for your depth. Like if this can result in, a more solid foundation for the Steelers, I mean, that's really all we need to continue to compete.
Nah, it looks like Dante Kent will be your return man because I know it's against MAC guys, but he averaged 13 6-point yards per punt return and returned a 68-yard punt for a touchdown last year.
Nice. And we don't really have a good punt returner right now, to be honest.
So it looks like they drafted Kent kind of as a hopeful punt returner.
Special teams guy. Yeah.
But yeah, and then kind of just a random, I think could end up being a really big steal is where'd he go? Ollie Gordon II going all the way in the 6th round to Miami. I think that is one of the best teams he could have ended up at. He led the league in rushing 2 years ago, or college in rushing 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he has some publicity surrounding him right now, but what player doesn't nowadays in the NFL? But getting rid of Mostert and bringing in Ollie Gordon to pair with Devin A-Chain, I think could work out really well in that offense.
I like Miami's draft a lot. I feel like Miami did really well.
Yeah, they have a very, if their misses miss, it doesn't hurt them. Quinn Ewers in the 7th, Ollie Gordon in the 6th. It's like, okay. So yeah, and then Kenneth Grant, just a big body on the D-line again.
Yeah. So I think before we wrap up, the last thing I kind of want to bring up, just because of how hyped he was through college, who people thought should have been the Heisman winner last year. What do you think about Ashton Jeanty going to the Raiders?
I really like Jeanty going to the Raiders. I know some people don't, but I like what the Raiders are doing. They went out and got their quarterback. They kept Max Crosby. They went out and got their star running back. Then they went out and got 2 offensive linemen to build around him. to kind of help protect them both. It's like, and who knows how Jack Beck is going to do out of TCU, but they took him in the second round. So I was talking to a couple people about this. I could see not this year, but maybe next year, they could kind of be in the land of the Broncos from last year, where they're good, but they're not there.
Elite.
But I like Genty for the teams he could have gone to in the top. Like, he would have died in Cleveland. He would have died on the Jets. He would have died in Carolina.
Yeah, a lot of bad teams he could have gone to.
Died in New Orleans and Chicago. And if he fell to 11, the 49ers, him and McCaffrey, that'd be stupid.
I really wanted him to go to Chicago, honestly, just because that offensive, like, the peak of that offense would be massive, right? Like, whether or not it hits that, I just thought Chicago would. I mean, Chicago desperately needs a running back, and I think if you have someone like GT in that backfield, it could have been insane. I don't necessarily hate the GT pick for the Raiders. However, I was listening to a guy do a draft analysis, and he was talking about GT, and he made a the analogy he made was the Raiders are essentially like, you know, like a lower middle class, kind of closer to lower class family that are, you know, it's 3 kids. They need they're going to a car dealership. They just got into a car accident. They got their check, and they're going to go put a down payment on a car, and they're going to the Dodge dealership, and, you know, there's a nice Dodge Caravan that you can get it, 60,000 miles, 2018, like Dodge Caravan, that it's in their budget. They can afford it. It's great. It's going to have seats for the kids. It's going to be great. They walk out with a Dodge Charger, They walk out with Dodge Charger, higher down payment, the bigger payment on it. It's not really makes much sense for their kids. Not very practical, but it's flashy and it's fun, and it's gonna be awesome having the Dodge Charger, right? Like, it's like sick. We have a Dodge Charger. This is amazing. But the Raiders have so many needs elsewhere that running back at 6 is kind of a tough sell, because there's, again, you got the flashiest pick. You got the Dodge Charger, but you needed the Dodge Caravan, like, in your situation. You needed more depth in your piece, like, in your places. You needed a better O-line. You needed better corners. You needed better edge. You need some guy outside of Max Crosby on the edge.
It reminds me of the Bijan Robinson pick.
Yep.
Where it's like, it could work out, but you're going to be wasting 2 years of this contract if you do.
If it doesn't. And I could see a very similar situation with GT in Vegas, where it's not going to look pretty at first. Yeah. And, he's still going to be good, and everyone's going to be like, oh, yeah, GT's, a top 10 running back. Like, he's amazing, but, he's just on the Raiders. And then he's going to get done with his contract, and he's going to go sign with San Francisco. And everyone's like, holy shit, GT's one of the best running backs in the league, like how we just did with Saquon. Like,
yeah,
I can see that in the future.
That will probably happen.
I hope that's not what happens. I hope he's a Raider for life, and I hope he finally brings the Raiders out of the dungeon that they've been in for the last 25 years.
If anyone's going to be a lifer, it's going to be Genty. I mean, he stayed at Boise State when he could have made $15 million a year. Going
anywhere else. And that's the thing is, I hope it goes well, but it just very much feels like the Raiders are being a little irresponsible in this situation, where it's like you're not putting Genty in the best spot. It's not really the best fit for you. But it's like, Ashton Genty's fun. Like, that's a fun pick, right? So
he will sell tickets.
Yep, absolutely.
But hey, NFL draft, who knows?
Definitely.
Maybe this is the complete opposite of Jamarcus Russell.
I mean, shit, one could hope.
Maybe this is their Bo Jackson that doesn't get hurt by the Cincinnati Bengals.
Maybe the wrong analogy, but
yeah.
Maybe the wrong one.
But on that note, we good?
We're good. I think we got it all.
Let us know your thoughts on the NFL draft. ELF content will return next week. Season's less than a month out, which is crazy. It's like 18 days away. So yeah, but let us know how your team did. I know some people were very excited about the Patriots draft and the Giants draft, but we'll see how they turn out. So thanks for watching. Leave us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple. Follow us on social media. 4thdown_pod on Instagram. 4thdownfiasco everywhere else. Go make a bet at BetStamp.
And check out our interviews on YouTube.
Yeah, go to our YouTube channel. Check out all our interviews. Those will be coming. More of those will be coming soon. I think that's it. Am I missing anything?
No, I think you got it all.
All right. Until next week. Peace.
Adios.
Well, I like school, and I like football, and I'm gonna keep doing them both because they make me feel good.
Are you looking for a podcast to advertise your business? Well, you're in luck. Here at the 4th Down Fiasco, we're looking for show sponsors. Whether you want to be a platinum sponsor and be mentioned at the beginning and end of every episode, or you just want a simple 30 or 60-second ad, we got you covered. If you're interested in having a spot on our show, you can reach us at 4thdownfiasco@gmail.com. That's 4thdownfiasco@gmail.com. We are excited to hear from you and even more excited to have you on the show. Join the Fiasco family now.